You have been lied to about oil changes your entire life. There is one oil change secret so simple it almost feels illegal to know, yet it can extend your engine life to 500,000 miles. Right now, millions of car owners are unknowingly destroying their engines with mistakes that take just minutes to fix, but end up costing thousands in premature failure. The worst part? Most of these mistakes are pushed by the same industry that profits when your engine dies early. In this video, I'll talk about 17 real-world tricks the oil change industry would rather you never discover. If these were common knowledge, billions in unnecessary engine replacements would vanish overnight. By the end, you will know more about protecting your engine than most professional mechanics. The best part, almost every single secret costs nothing to implement. The number one secret, which I will reveal at the end, removes hidden contamination left behind after every oil change. This contamination is eating your engine alive right now, but it takes 5 minutes to eliminate completely. Stick with me until the end because this last trick can literally save you thousands. Let's start with Secret 17. And this one is all about your oil filter's bypass valve. Most people have never even heard of it, but it could be the difference between your engine lasting 100,000 miles or 500,000. I have torn apart hundreds of filters, and what I found inside would shock you. Under normal conditions, oil flows through the filter, trapping particles and keeping your engine clean. But when that filter gets clogged with contamination, or when your oil thickens up on a cold morning, pressure rises. When it hits a certain point, the bypass valve opens and lets oil flow around the filter completely unfiltered. Now, I know what you are thinking. Why would anyone want dirty oil running through their engine? Here's the catch. Dirty oil is still better than no oil. Without that bypass valve, a clogged filter would block oil flow entirely and destroy your engine bearings in seconds. But here is where it gets dangerous. The bypass valve responds to pressure difference across the filter, not the pressure reading you see on your dashboard. Your oil pressure gauge could look perfectly normal, while the bypass valve is wide open, letting unfiltered oil circulate. Some cheap oil filters have bypass valves that open way too easily, letting dirty oil through when they should be filtering. Even worse, I have seen counterfeit filters missing bypass valve springs altogether. I have opened up engines wrecked by oil filters that cost just a few dollars less than the real thing. Now, Secret 16, and this one is used oil analysis. Think of it as a medical exam for your engine. It tells you exactly what is happening inside long before you ever hear a knock or see a warning light. Few drivers realize oil analysis is actually one of the most powerful diagnostic tools any car owner can use. Oil analysis checks for wear metals like iron from cylinders, aluminum from pistons, and copper from bearings. It tests your oil's remaining protection and can even spot fuel contamination that is quietly thinning your oil. But here is what many owners miss. One oil sample means almost nothing. The real power comes from tracking changes over several oil changes. If you see iron levels climbing, you know cylinder wear is speeding up. A sudden spike in copper means bearings are in trouble. Most quality oil analysis costs $30 to $50 per sample, but it can save you thousands through professional diagnosis before catastrophic failure occurs. This brings us to Secret 15, and that is PCV catch cans. These little devices stop oil vapor contamination that is quietly wrecking modern engines. Your positive crankcase ventilation system is supposed to remove pressure from your engine, but it also lets oil vapor into your intake. In older engines, this was no big deal because fuel spray would wash the intake valves clean. But in modern direct injection engines, fuel sprays directly into the combustion chamber, so nothing washes the intake valves. Oil vapor bakes onto the valve surfaces, turning them into a sticky mess. It gets even worse. There is a nasty phenomenon called low-speed pre-ignition. This happens when oil droplets from the PCV system get into the combustion chamber and create hot spots that ignite fuel before the spark plug fires. The result? Massive pressure spikes that can crack pistons and destroy connecting rods in seconds. We are talking about $10,000 in engine damage, all because of oil vapor. A catch can sit between your PCV outlet and your intake, trapping oil vapor before it can reach your intake valves. Empty one after a few thousand miles, and you will see just how much oil it keeps out of your engine. But even a catch will not save you if your oil filter is missing a critical safety feature. Secret 14 is all about the anti-drainback valve. This tiny valve prevents oil from draining out of the oil filter housing when you shut off the engine. Drivers overlook this component, but it can be the difference between minimal startup wear and significant bearing damage every single time you start your car. When you shut down, this valve keeps oil in the oil filter and passages, so the next time you start up, oil pressure builds immediately. Without it, you get a delay in oil pressure at startup, which means more wear every time you turn the key. But here is something many owners never realize. Some engines do not use anti-drainback valves because they have internal check valves instead. If you put an oil filter with an anti-drainback valve on an engine designed without one, you might actually cause problems. That is why using the right oil filter for your engine is more important than you think. Now, Secret 13 is going to change how you look at oil chemistry, especially if you own a classic car. This one is about zinc and how it saves flat tappet camshafts from total destruction. ZDDP is a critical anti-wear additive that forms a protective film on metal surfaces. Modern oils have way less zinc than older formulas because zinc can poison catalytic converters. Classic engines with flat tappet cams were built to run on high zinc oils, but now many are running on low zinc oils and getting destroyed. I have seen vintage cam lobes turned into jagged metal, sounding like a cement mixer. For those engines, you want oil with elevated zinc levels. But here is the warning. Too much zinc in a modern engine with a catalytic converter is a recipe for expensive repairs. The balanced approach is matching your oil to your engine design. Vintage engines use high zinc oil. Modern engines stick with the spec. Secret 12 is all about fuel dilution. This is when gasoline contaminates your engine oil and silently strips away the protective film and ruins your engine from the inside out. It is especially common in direct injection engines and vehicles driven on short trips. When your engine never gets hot enough, fuel condenses on cold cylinder walls and seeps past the rings into the oil pan. Diesel engines with particulate filters do it too, injecting extra fuel to burn off soot, and some of that fuel ends up in your oil. Fuel dilution makes your oil thin, more like water than honey. It accelerates breakdown and destroys its ability to protect moving parts. Early warning signs are a rising oil level, a gasoline smell at the oil cap, and oil that feels thinner than normal. For definitive proof, labs can use gas chromatography to measure the exact amount of fuel in your oil. If you see fuel dilution above 2 or 0.4%, it is time for an immediate oil change and a check for the cause. Secret 11 is all about break-in oil and how it determines whether your piston rings seat perfectly or your new engine ends up weak for life. Few people realize they destroy their new engines with kindness, and they do not even realize it. Breaking in a new engine is a critical phase that shapes performance for the entire lifespan. The main goal is to get the piston rings to seal against the cylinder walls properly. Here is where so many people go wrong. The old advice was to baby a new engine, drive it gently, and avoid high RPMs. But modern engine builders know that gentle break-in actually prevents the rings from seating. Instead, you should vary your engine speed and load, giving the rings and cylinder walls a chance to bed in under different stresses. Choosing the right oil during break-in is also crucial. The oil needs to protect the engine, but still allow a little controlled wear so the rings can seat. Most experts recommend using a conventional break-in oil with higher anti-wear additives for the first 100 to 600 miles. Full synthetic oil is usually not recommended for this first phase because its slippery nature can actually stop the rings from wearing in properly. After this first break-in period, change the oil to get rid of any metal particles that have been generated. Then, continue with conventional oil for another cycle before switching to synthetic, once you are sure the rings have sealed. This staged approach gives your engine the best shot at a long, healthy life. Secret 10 is the truth about severe service and how it quietly cuts your oil drain intervals in half. Many car owners think their driving is normal when it is actually severe. Manufacturers list 2 schedules in the manual, one for normal service and one for severe. But drivers overlook the fine print. Severe service is not just for taxis or commercial trucks. It includes short trips under 10 miles, stop-and-go traffic, frequent idling, towing, and driving in temperature extremes. If you mostly take short trips, your engine never gets hot enough to burn off fuel and moisture, which means contamination builds up fast. That is why severe service requires oil changes at about half the mileage of normal service. If your manual says 7,500 miles for normal, severe service means changing oil every 3,750. If you are mostly driving short distances, stuck in traffic, or dealing with extreme weather, you are in severe service and need to cut your oil change intervals. Ignoring this is one of the most common reasons engines wear out early. Secret 9 is about oil filter media quality and why it matters far more than the size of the canister. Many people think bigger oil filters automatically mean better protection, but that is a dangerous myth. A large oil filter canister does not guarantee better filtration. What really matters is the quality of the oil filter media inside, the strength of the construction, and whether the internal components are properly calibrated. Some small oil filters with premium media and strong internal construction can outperform much larger oil filters made from cheap materials. The number of pleats, the adhesive quality, and the type of end caps all make a difference. I have seen oil filters that look identical on the outside but are completely different inside. Some budget oil filters use materials so weak they collapse under pressure or adhesives that fail after one heat cycle. If you want to protect your engine, go with trusted brands. WIX makes oil filters with different lines for standard and synthetic oils. Mobil 1 filters use synthetic fiber media and score well in independent tests. Bosch filters are also reliable, especially for European cars. The bottom line, do not fall for the bigger is better trap. Now, Secret 8 will save you both money and hassle. This one is about synthetic oil chemistry and why it transforms your maintenance schedule. The old 3,000-mile oil change rule is pure myth for modern engines and oils. Conventional oils are made by refining crude oil, which leaves behind molecules of all different shapes and sizes. These break down faster, form sludge, and lose protection quickly. Synthetic oils are engineered from the ground up. Their molecules are uniform, which means better resistance to breakdown, less sludge, and more consistent protection. Synthetics flow better in the cold, resist burning off in heat, and keep your engine cleaner for longer. That is why synthetic oils can safely handle extended intervals when combined with quality filtration, as long as you are not in severe service conditions. The 3,000-mile rule is outdated and wasteful. If you are using a good synthetic and a quality filter, you can extend your intervals and still protect your engine. But there is one mistake that can damage your engine in minutes, even if you use the best oil and filter. Secret 7 is all about overfilling and how it causes oil aeration, which destroys protection in seconds. Overfilling the crankcase with too much oil is an easy mistake, but it has serious consequences. When oil is too high in the pan, the spinning crankshaft churns it into foam. Aerated oil is full of air bubbles, and those bubbles collapse under pressure, leaving metal surfaces unprotected. Symptoms of overfilling include foamy or frothy oil on the dipstick, erratic oil pressure readings, blue smoke at startup, and oil leaks around gaskets. If you have only overfilled by a small amount, you can use a fluid extractor through the dipstick tube to remove the excess. If you have overfilled by a lot, you will need to drain some oil out the old-fashioned way. The right way to fill is to add oil until just below the full mark, run the engine briefly, let it settle, and then top off to the line. Now, Secret 6 is a lifesaver for older engines that are starting to leak or burn oil. High-mileage oils are specially formulated for engines with 60,000 to 80,000 miles or more. These oils include seal conditioners that help soften and swell old gaskets, detergents to break down sludge, and sometimes extra anti-wear additives to help with increased clearances. If your engine is showing signs of age, like minor leaks or using oil between changes, high-mileage oil can help slow down the wear and keep things running longer. Just remember, high-mileage oil is not a substitute for real repairs. If you have a major leak or a mechanical failure, no oil can fix that. But here is something that can protect you from expensive disasters when things go wrong at the shop. Secret 5 is all about documentation, receipts and photos that shield you from warranty claim denials and service disasters. Always take a photo of your oil dipstick right after service, preferably while you are still at the shop. Keep your receipts and make sure they list the oil brand, viscosity, filter part number, and technician name. If you ever have a problem, like low oil after a change or a bad oil filter, this documentation proves what was done and when. If you suspect a faulty filter, keep it sealed in a bag with the dates written on it. If you ever need to escalate a warranty claim, having photos, receipts, and the failed part can make all the difference. Multiple drivers have used this evidence to get manufacturers to pay for major repairs or even extend warranties. Secret 4 is the hidden danger of counterfeit oil filters and how they ruin engines by missing critical components. Fake and gray market filters are a growing threat in the parts world. I have seen filters that look perfect on the outside, but inside have weak construction that lets the filter come apart under pressure. Some even have gaskets that harden up and leak after just one heat cycle. The consequences are serious. Poor construction can let filter media collapse and block oil passages. I have seen engines ruined because a cheap online oil filter failed after just a few thousand miles. The best way to protect yourself is to buy filters only from trusted sources. Stick to authorized dealers, national auto parts stores, or the manufacturer's own website. If a filter is priced way below normal, that is a huge red flag. Always check for date codes and lot numbers on the box and the filter itself. This helps you avoid old stock and gives you a way to trace defects if you ever have a problem. Now, Secret 3 is a $10 upgrade that can prevent your engine from disaster. Magnetic drain plugs are simple but powerful. They have a strong magnet built in that attracts tiny pieces of iron and steel floating in your oil. Every time you change your oil, check the plug. If you see a buildup of fine metal shavings, that is early warning your engine is wearing more than it should. Spotting this early can help you fix problems before they become catastrophic. Magnetic plugs are not a replacement for your oil filter, but they are a great extra layer of protection. They will not catch aluminum or copper particles, but they do a great job grabbing steel and iron debris. Clean the magnet every oil change and keep a visual record of what you find. If you start seeing more metal than usual, it is time to investigate before something expensive breaks. Secret 2 is a mistake that can trigger catastrophic engine failure in seconds, and it is completely preventable. The double gasket error happens when the old oil filter gasket sticks to the engine block. If you screw on a new filter without removing the old gasket, you have two rubber seals stacked together. When you start the engine, oil pressure blows one gasket out, and all your oil dumps onto the ground in less than a minute. By the time your oil light comes on, it is already too late. To prevent this, always wipe the oil filter mounting surface with a clean rag and check with your fingers for any leftover gasket. Use a flashlight to double check. Before you install the new oil filter, rub a little clean oil on the new gasket so it seals better and comes off easier next time. After the oil change, start the engine and watch the oil filter area for leaks for at least 30 seconds. This 1-minute inspection can save you from costly engine replacement. And now for Secret 1, the oil change trick that feels almost illegal because it is so effective and so overlooked. Warming up your oil before draining it makes a huge difference in how much sludge and contamination you remove. Warm oil